Hello, and welcome to episode 118 of Prose. This week, get stuck in a line for eternity, and meet a crafty bee. As per my usual, I am just going to encourage you all to go follow the show on social media under @ProsePodcast across all platforms. If you are enjoying the show, please click the 5-star button for Prose wherever you're listening. It really does help out a lot. For easiest access to the show, subscribe using whatever podcast app is your favorite. And do go check out the Prose Patreon page at patreon.com/ProsePodcast and consider supporting the show there. Both heaps of gratitude and a little bit of swag will come your way with that deal. And that's really it for our introduction this week. So, thanks for listening. Let's get to the tales, shall we? This week, we have the worst line and the Chaddick. Enjoy. The Worst Line, an original short story by Jeremiah McGee. Hello? Excuse me, pardon me? Yeah, mate? Listen, I'm curious, and this is going to sound quite odd, but could you remind me for what are we waiting in line? You don't remember? No, I feel as though it slipped my mind. Have we been here for a while? Must be up from purgatory, this one. Well, it's waiting final judgment, isn't it, mate? Wait, what? No, that is ridiculous. Now, this is also beige, and I don't remember dying and... Listen, mate, we all have that reaction at first, but you've been behind me for eons already, so might as well come to terms with it again, eh? But I was just waiting in line at the corner coffee shop a moment ago. I placed my order, gone to stand outside until they called my name, and then you bit it. You died, bruv. We all have. You know, I do remember the sidewalk being rather slippery. There had been a sudden rain shower before I left the apartment this morning. A morning eons ago. What? No. Anyway, I was so happy to have missed getting doused in it. That much I do remember about today. An age ago, not today. For God's sake, man, would you... Whoa now. Listen up, Governor. You don't need to be throwing around any names of the mighty ones here. We are closer to them now, standing here in this queue on their own turf. You don't want any additional attentions coming to you here at the end stretch, and I definitely don't need an increase in the scrutiny that's already coming my way. So watch the language, eh? Right, so you're dead. You died during some highbrow coffee run. Boom! I most certainly did not die picking up coffee. How ridiculous would that be? I mean, the absurdity of... My God, the sidewalk, I do remember slipping. Wait, that was it? I slipped and what, hit my head? I got clipped by a passing car? That's ridiculous. I won't accept such an ignoble end. God damn it! Shit, mate. That's 3 bombs lobbed in a row. That last one is quite dangerous here. Taking any of the Lord's names in vain will get you in one hot kettle of fish or worms or however the saying goes. You're out and out fucked if you keep going on like this. So, that really is it? I'm really dead? Look, mate, what's your name? Where and when you're from? What? What's your name, where and when you're from? It's not hard inquiries, those. My name is Albert Pankel. I live and work in New York City, and when? When? I think that my mother's 50th birthday had just passed, a month ago? So I believe it's August of 2005? Well, Al Pinkle from New York in August 2005. My name is Reginald Barclay. I'm from London. I ain't so good at remembering before, but I've tried to hang on to a little. Still, I can't be entirely sure, but I do believe I was hanged by the neck till dead in the autumn of the year of our Lord 1698. So you see, Al, you and me, we don't make sense to your right mind, right? Sums ain't my strong suit neither, but that's what, 200 years between us blokes? 305 actually. 305! 305 then! You get the point, we're both dead. This reality ain't our own. We're at the mercy and judgment of the lords. Mr. Barclay, you keep saying lords plural. Am I missing something? Reg. Mr. Barclay makes me sound ancient and regal. Maybe a touch sophisticated. I'm none of those things. Right, Reg, then. If what you tell me is true, you are rather old, but my question stands. Well, firstly, time don't pass the same here. 1 second you think you just arrived, the next you're meeting some prig from centuries down the way. Second is that, well, I never know just how to put this. Who'd you worship? What's your faith? I am a proud Episcopalian. Or what? No, what? Doesn't matter. Well, you Episcopalian, you're gonna be judged by your Episcopalian God. Me? I was a good Church of England man, so an English God will be judging me, thank you very much. Me and new chum, up there, Dinesh? Hey, Dinesh, right? Hey! See him up there waving back at me? Well, Dinesh has a whole bushel of gods that he's going to have judge him, but some bloke named Yama will be in charge of his real final judgment. I do meet the most interesting people here in line. You're telling me that each person is judged by whomever they worship? Or what? 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 As in objects? Ow, don't be so dim. If all the people of all of time are all in this queue, you're going to get some icon lovers, some animal worshippers, the occasional prayer to the sun or the moon or the trees. All the older Greeks seem to be getting away with a hell of a lot. Their gods are too drunk and busy fucking to do terribly much judging, and the Assyrians? Their god of judgment. Woo! Scary stuff, shit. Listen, I don't mean to disparage them, of course. Each god has their own ways and all that, and they should be feared accordingly. They should be respected. Plus they can hear us, mate. Was that fear? Again, just because I worship the God of the Anglicans, don't mean that Anubis ain't gonna whisper a bad thing or two in his ear about how I had been disrespectful to one of his lordship's peers. I told you, I was hanged by me neck till dead. The charges were false, that time, but I'd done enough bad in my day to land myself down into the fires. And don't go asking what my sins were in life. They don't need repeating here. I aim not to say anything that will tip the balance further in that direction, savvy? I think so. My head is spinning, though. I vaguely recollect standing here with you. We've had a similar conversation, haven't we? Sure. Now and again you forget and revert back. But it's happening less and less, if it's anything to you. You seem so patient and understanding, though. Well, there ain't much to do in waiting in eternity for eternity, eh? Helps pass the time, allows the mind to wander from potential hellfire. What a stupid death I seem to have had. I hope I can remember how it happened in greater detail. I think I'd like to know anyway. So, do people play games here, or do we always stand in somber silence, forgetting and then remembering together? Ow. I'm sorry to say it's the latter. The mood is somber on the good days. Most days, it's got an edge of terror to it. There's no rhyme or reason we can figure on how we are called to judgment. It all seems just a bit random, but it may just be beyond our mortal understanding. So we wait, we talk, We wait. We wail. We wait, we forget. We wait, we remember. We wait. For a long time, I thought this was purgatory. That those damned Catholics were right. But I've seen scores of people be judged to go elsewhere to purgatory. So this really is just a queue. It's that simple. They also serve who only stand and wait. What? What's that now? It's Milton. Just a line from a John Milton poem that came to me from my studies back in college. Johnny Milton? I know that name. What a treat to hear a name I recall. Sounds a bit a depressing poem, though. I certainly read it as such. For one so convinced he's going to the Hellfires, as you called them, you certainly are chipper, by the way. Just resigned, mate. Resigned? Well, my crimes, if any, were probably lesser than yours, but I fear that my own anxieties are rising about this judgment. There's no way to pass the time? To detract ourselves? You already said it. Albert Pankel of New York than me own from 2005. And good old Milton said it better than either of us sewer rats. They also serve who only stand and wait. So, let us stand and wait. Forever? No. It'll only feel like eternity. Then comes judgment. Then is forever. Thank you for listening to The Worst Line, an original short story by me, Jared I. McGee. Please stick around for our second story this week. An insidious being called the Chaddick will weave its way through a familiar land of Dol-i-Shara. The Chaddick, an original short story by Jared I. McGee.
The Chaddick. They come. They are legion. Once you see them, you cannot unsee them. They are many in one. They are the next evolution. They have always been among us, but only now do they show themselves as the Chaddick. What are their motivations? They seethe in and out of the packed streets of Dol-i-Shara, sniffing out others like them, like-minded, weak-minded denizens of the great capital. People who thought they were learning and gaining independence when, in reality, they were ripening themselves for brainwashing, for being given a way to walk, a way to talk, a way to think. The Chaddick sought out the up-and-coming middle-class merchants' children that were consuming the newest pamphlets and treatises coming out of the minds and pens of the literati. The Chaddick scanned the crowds for intelligent peoples of the fields, up from the slums to try to scrape out a better life, their minds roiling and fertile for the seeds they wanted to plant there. The seeds that would see the Chaddick make those starving peasants like them. Legion, the many, in one. With the stink of the bubbling cesspool that was Kalado Mank, the peasants were actually still the harder catch. Their emaciated frames hid strong souls beneath them. The Chaddick preferred to prey upon those that thought they were intelligent. Those people that had just enough education to consider themselves cosmopolitan. The people that hungered for acceptance and confirmation to all the biases they already held.
We must help the dying of the fields.
Indeed. whispered the Chaddick.
We must drain the disease-ridden Kalado Mank!
You are so wise, hissed the Chaddick.
We must value the lives of our brothers and sisters who are less fortunate.
Such a brave and original declaration, asserted the Chaddick. The sheep had their unoriginal ideas applauded by them, and they oohed and gooed honeyed agreements. Once the bond was established, the sheep listened to anything the Chaddick professed. And they were just that. The professor of these students of alternate realities, shifted ways of looking and thinking. The obvious and pedestrian takes that these mediocre minds espoused opened the door for the Chaddick to build barriers against open thought. They walled off those open minds from anything resembling intellectual openness. More importantly to the assimilation, the Chaddick preached the gospel of collective thought. Their ways were the right ways. They were them, and them were they. The Chaddick convinced the sheep that everyone in Dolai Shara was the same while utterly different. Those differences in need of celebration and protection. The Chaddick planted in their pupils' minds many such conflicted pairings. Cognitive dissonance rang out with every sermon, but the sheep simply listened and lapped up the nonsensical holdings. The Chaddick espoused the danger of freely thinking while celebrating the sheep's open minds. This would serve them the best of all the plantings. With every flushing of the sewer networks, the city was renewed. With every lunar cycle, they gathered more followers. 3 more revitalizations of Kalado Mank would see their chief disciples ready to go out and spread the word further throughout the city. 5 more, at most. Then, Dolai Shara would see both violent and non-violent approaches to making them. Their ways would become the right ways, the only ways. They would become them, and them would become they. The merchant quarters avenues were already popping with their revolutionaries. Soon, the Chaddick would send their converted underlings into the fields to set up boxes from which they could shout the grand message in Umata grounds. There, the poor could not help but hear the wonderful message that would bring the sundry peoples of the city under one religion. The religion of groupthink. The religion of contradiction and faux fact. The Chaddick chuffed and grunted with delight, even thinking about it. How easy it was to draw in these fools who thought themselves so advanced. The only 2 groups standing in their way were the conservatives and the knowing. The former were simply backward thinkers, lovers of tradition for tradition's sake, those attached to their religions, and who wanted a different type of conformity and homogeneity. The latter might profess to have magic, those knowing, but they were men and women of the mind. Nothing more. They studied the natural world and recorded and labeled and explained all the happenstances thereof and therein. They were more dangerous than those backward conservatives. They knew what real fact was. They relied on observation and numbers, reality as based in evidence. They could see through the false claims and nonsensical contradictory beliefs the Chaddick sought throughout their people's minds. The Chaddick knew those 2 groups would not let loose of their own worldviews. This meant that they would need to recruit greater numbers than the conservatives and the knowings numbers combined. This was a challenge, but it was far from the impossible, especially for the Chaddick. Just yesterday, the magistrates rang the bell and sent out their dogs to chase down some poor man from the fields for stealing some apples. Apples! That type of horrendous treatment would push the people even more into the clutches of the Chaddick. Those foolish magistrates. With every passing day, the Chaddick found new ways of telling the disparate peoples coming under their banner that they actually were the only way. Their teachings were the only teachings, even though those peoples and those teachings went against one another, hated one another, mixed as if oil with water. The madness that these sheep would so easily believe such strange labyrinthine findings. The hoops those sheep leapt through to make this belief system make logical sense to them. It was amazing. The Chaddick did not have to build those labyrinths either. The sheep, particularly the most ardent disciples, made the connection and glued together the faux logic for them. Huh, what fun. What ease. All this for what, though? The Chaddick's motives were often questioned by their flock. Placating gestures and answers were the norm, but they were all lies. All of them. Because the Chaddick, they come. They are Legion. Once you see them, you cannot unsee them. They are many in one. They are the next evolution. They have always been among us, but only now do they show themselves as the Chaddick. What are their motivations? Only to take over this world of ours. Nothing more. Nothing less.
Thank you for listening to The Chaddick, an original short story by me, Jared I. McGee. That does it this week for Prose. All sounds and music that you've heard come from Free Music Library, a service by YouTube, as well as freesound.org, or are of my own creation. Those sounds and songs taken from the websites are being used under CC 1.0 public domain dedication licenses. Certainly, I hope you enjoyed episode 118, and we will be back in 2 weeks' time with another full episode, though we might sneak a Thanksgiving special in somewhere in between. As you go about your day, I do hope that you'll try your best to love those around you. Tell them that you do, and embrace this life, as it is always stranger than fiction. One more time, thank you so much for listening.